Marco Murray is now a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. Also is Sam Bradford, in addition to Ryan Matthews. So to try to make some sense out of what's going on with the Eagles, we'll go to 94 WIP's very own Marc Farzetta. Mark, it's Zach and Chase. Welcome back to Talking to the Temple Students. Thanks for a few minutes. How are you, my friend?
Happy to be on with you. Chase, how's it going? Zach, what's happening? I got a real quick question. Do you guys have a program director?
We do have a program director. I am the sports director, but yes, we do have a program director.
How is it that you can get access to Peter King and various other NFL personalities, and yet you book me?
The program director here must be a moron. You're 100% right.
You're one of the best, Marky Mark.
So let's get to it. Yesterday, obviously the big news, DeMarco Murray comes to town, and now he is a member of the Philadelphia Eagles. They take him away from the Dallas Cowboys. I thought this was an interesting selection by the Philadelphia Eagles, but one that definitely does make sense. How is this changing, though, the approach on the offense of one Chip Kelly? Because DeMarco Murray is a little bit of a different back compared to LaShawn McCoy.
I think it shows one thing, and that is that Chip Kelly is going to make an effort, and he talked about this yesterday. He's going to make an effort to spread those carries around. There's no way that DeMarco Murray should be getting close to 400 carries this coming season like he did last year for the Dallas Cowboys. And Chip Kelly, when he mentioned that yesterday in his press conference, I thought, okay, perfect. This isn't a guy that he's going to bring in here for even over 300 carries. This is a situation where you bring him in here to spread the ball out now with the newly acquired Ryan Matthews. Hopefully Darren Sproles is still in the mix. I saw a rumor that he might get released because of the cap number. This is a situation now where you see Chip Kelly is not going to be using this guy over and over again, similar to the way he did with LaShawn McCoy last year. So I think it shows you, if anything, with the other running backs they brought in the offseason as well, or the other running back, it shows you that they are going to make a commitment to spreading that football around.
Here's the problem, though, that I have with what Chip Kelly is doing. Yes, the addition of DeMarco Murray to me is a fantastic one, and there's still a lot of work to do with the wide receivers and also the interior guard spots and also the secondary, but he is relying, from what he is saying, on Sam Bradford. And in Sam Bradford's career, he's had 28 games that he hasn't played in. Why will Sam Bradford be a success with the Philadelphia Eagles, according to Chip Kelly?
Well, because in all honesty, I think Mark Sanchez is a pretty lousy quarterback. At least I thought he was before he came to Philadelphia, but yet he still had decent numbers. Nothing great, but at least managed a decent offense when he was here throughout last year. Any quarterback, I absolutely believe this, and I think Mark Sanchez proved this. And who knows, when Nick Foles plays in St. Louis, maybe he'll prove this as well. It seems like any quarterback with a decent arm and a little bit of smarts can have success in this offense. Chip Kelly doesn't necessarily need a quarterback as much as he needs a point guard. If Sam Bradford, and here's the biggest if, and they'll get said 1,000 times until the end of next season, if Sam Bradford can stay healthy, I think he does have the tools to put up decent numbers and run a good offense here in Philadelphia. Now, the jury's out as far as whether or not he can stay healthy. I mean, that's just a crapshoot at this point. But it doesn't look good, of course, when you barely play in the last 2 seasons. And before your NFL career even started, people were talking about your shoulder injury. So, I mean, it all relies on his health, and that's a huge, huge if when talking about Sam Bradford.
Marc Farzetta, Sports Radio WIP, joined us right now on the main event, broadcasting live from the Marriott Hotel in Hartford, Connecticut. Mark, it's Chase. I look at this Philadelphia Eagles franchise. They haven't won a championship since 1960. No Lombardi trophies are at the NovaCare complex. In the past, they have built this franchise in a traditional manner, but now Chip Kelly is doing things in an unconventional way. Are you a fan of this rebuilding process?
I'm a fan of it because they replaced the defensive players that they needed to replace. This offense, I still think, is going to be one of the top offenses in the NFL. They still need to address their offensive line, but he really attacked the defense, and that's something he did last year through the draft, and I thought failed miserably. I mean, he tried to do it with Taylor Hart, he tried to do it with Ed Reynolds, he tried to do it with some of these other guys that he drafted, but Watkins he drafted as well. But, I mean, I think he realizes that he needs to get some defensive players in here that already have proven themselves. Kiko Alonso, I know he went to Oregon, but I mean, he had a solid rookie year, 3rd in the NFL in tackles his rookie year. He's going to be playing on the inside with Michael Kendricks, as long as Michael Kendricks doesn't fulfill the rumors and end up getting traded too. I mean, who knows with Chip? But he got Byron Maxwell, the top corner on the market, so he showed up that position. The only and brought in Thurman as well on the other side. The only position now in the defense that's now questionable, because remember, your defensive line was great last year. Your linebackers look pretty solid right now because you still have Connor Barwin. But the only position now is more or less strong safety. Now, you talk to any safety in the NFL, and they all say pretty much that the safety positions are interchangeable. But in the traditional sense, the strong safety is still a big hole, still a big question mark for the Eagles. I think, Earl Wolf is going to be your starting safety now with Nate Allen finally signing over in Oakland?
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about it either. But the way I look at it right now, and people make comparisons to 2011 with the Dream Team, the Dream Team's defense that, of course, brought in Asamoah and Cromartie, the Dream Team's defense was led by Juan Castillo, and it was led by Jim Washburn on the defensive line. At least Billy Davis, not that he has a huge trophy display in his living room or anything like that, but at least a guy, at least the Eagles defense is led by someone who has at least done it before. At least it's a guy that has a little bit of experience running a defense. Having Juan Castillo,
an offensive line coach, right?
Times worse than Billy Davis.
Marc Farzetta, Sports Radio 94 WIP, is our guest right here. And Mark, Chip Kelly's press conference on Wednesday, a sneak press conference, was very captivating, and there was many things that stood out to me. But the one that really stood out to me is him saying that he didn't go to Jeffrey Lurie demanding that he gets final say over the roster personnel. It was actually Jeffrey Lurie suggesting that Chip Kelly has final say over the roster. What do you think of that? Are you calling his bluff on that?
Yeah, I'm calling his bluff on that. Yeah, sure, that's the way it went down. Yeah. No, to me, that was ridiculous. And a lot of the media members were all looking at each other like, is he really trying to sell us this? Is that happening right now? We started to try to play along a little bit to try to get a little bit more, and I even asked him if he was surprised, and he kind of skirted the question a little bit. He said he wasn't surprised, but then he started talking about Nick Foles and Sam Bradford being traded, so I don't know what he was talking about. But to me, I think it took most people were taken back by that, because it's just so obvious. I mean, Chip Kelly is the guy that is coming from the college ranks, as we all know, and what do college coaches have? They have 100% authority. They are the dictator, the czar of football operations, from head coaching to personnel, of course. That's exactly what Chip Kelly wanted in the NFL. So why would he try to avoid that, and why wouldn't he ask for that after Tom Gamble was fired? And the real answer to that question came when he was asked about Tom Gamble. When he said, Tom Gamble being dismissed, is it something that you wish you could have brought him back? And he went on to talk about how he loves Tom Gamble, and Tom Gamble does such an excellent job. And he didn't say that he wished he was still there, but you could read between the lines that that's exactly what he wanted. So to me, that was just a bunch of BS.
So then let me ask you this, because us media members at times, we could be very stupid, but we're very good at interacting with people. With Chip Kelly's press conference, do you believe that he was offered a first-round pick for Sam Bradford, number one? And two, do you believe him when he say Marcus Mariota is not going to be a member of the Philadelphia Eagles?
I don't believe that he was offered a first-round pick. If he was offered a first-round pick, then why the heck didn't St. Louis just trade him for a first-round pick?
Exactly.
I mean, to me, that's just ridiculous. The other thing, Marcus Mariota is still very much in play. But when this move was made with Sam Bradford, people say, well, that's it for Mariota. No, not even close, because the Eagles still have their first-round picks for years to come. So, look at the situation that happened with RG3, and that's the situation a lot of people like to throw out. Look at that situation. It was 3 first-round picks in succeeding years with a second-round pick. The Eagles could still very much do that.
We're joined by Marc Farzetta right now on WHIP Radio, broadcasting to you live from the Marriott Hotel in Hartford, Connecticut. Mark, let's take a look at the defense. Byron Maxwell is the big free agency splash on the defensive side of the ball, but he's never been the number one guy in Seattle. Obviously, that's been Richard Sherman for this run by the Seattle Seahawks. And also, it's interesting to point out, when I was doing my research on Byron Maxwell, he actually tore his ACL his senior year in high school. So there's another ACL guy that Chip gets. But what's the projections? What are the expectations for you with Maxwell being the number one guy at corner?
I think it's a little bit of an oversell if anyone's trying to tell people that he's going to be a shutdown corner. I mean, here's basically what you're bringing to the table with Byron Maxwell. if you're comparing him to Kerry Williams and you're comparing him to Bradley Fletcher, I mean, it's too easy to look good next to those guys. But just to look at some numbers, I mean, Bradley Fletcher last year allowed a quarterback rating of 107, I believe. Kerry Williams allowed a quarterback rating of, I think, 91. Maxwell allows a quarterback rating, I think, of 81. So, I mean, he allows a quarterback to be average, but not one of the top-tier quarterbacks in the NFL. And when push comes to shove in the fourth quarter, you're hoping that's something that, shuts down that final game-winning drive.
Marc Farzetta is our guest right now. And Marc, there's still a lot of needs on this Eagles team. You mentioned safety. They might need some cornerback depth. They need linebacker depth. There is also issues on the offensive line with Todd Harriman's going to the Colts and possibly Evan Mathis being traded. I want you to crystal ball this for me. Who do you think the Eagles are going to take in the draft?
I think they got to go still on the defensive side of things. I think in the later rounds of the draft, I think they're going to go after their offensive linemen. I mean, I still see a guy like Trey Waynes coming here from Michigan State to help their defense out. They're still going to need some more depth there. And as much as we'd like to think Byron Maxwell is going to be a quarterback that can still shut down a quarterback to around a very average quarterback rating, there's still some questions out there. Thurman might not be able to stay healthy. I mean, Maxwell, you mentioned earlier the ACL tear. Thurman might not be able to stay healthy. He had issues last year. Cornerback depth, safety depth, that's still where they're going to need some help. Trey Waynes is still the guy I see coming to Philadelphia.
And is this Eagles team, as we currently see this roster on this March 13th, better than the team that collapsed down the stretch and missed out on the playoffs in 2014?
Defensively, yes, absolutely. Offensively, not even close. To have DeMarco Murray is all well and good, but at the same time, you still need to shore up the offensive line like you guys were just talking about. If Evan Mathis does leave here, you're going with a lot of inexperience on that offensive line, and then a little bit of too much experience with a guy like Jason Peters. So to me, I mean, it's all about the offensive line as far as the draft goes, the rest of free agency. I think in the first round, like I said, I still see a guy like Trey Waynes coming to Philadelphia, but through the rest of it, you're going to have to shore up that offensive line. That should be their number one goal from here on out.
Marc, before we let you run, we are actually broadcasting from a hotel room today, and later we'll be broadcasting from the XL Center. You've been around in radio for a while. Where's been the most interesting place that you ever had a remote broadcast from?
I had to broadcast. Funny you say that. I had to broadcast. We've all done, we've done bar appearances and stuff like that at WIP, but I had to do a broadcast at a Italian deli. An Italian deli in Doylestown and Warminster called Altamonte's, and I grew up going to these places. I grew up going to this Italian market, and it's a great place. And it was interesting because they let me go back where they were making everything, and it smelled terrific. But it was just weird because people, when they were going to get a hoagie, were looking over and seeing us. When a guy was bringing a big side of a pig out of the freezer, he was carrying it by where we were broadcasting from. So I think Altamonte's takes the taco on that.
Well, we're lucky we can't see on radio, because if you wanted to see an ugly sight, you could have just seen me roll out of my bed this morning and then just walk right over to the mixer and get us ready to broadcast. So it is a fun way to do radio because you don't have to go on really that far to do the show.
How romantic. That's nice. Now, you guys did get the double beds, right? There's 2 beds in that room. You guys don't have to spoon.
I slept on an air mattress because Zach is a bigger guy than I, so I was stuck on the floor, Marc. But hey,
yeah, wow.
we're hustlers. We got to get it going at the college radio level. But
I'm so impressed. I mean, the guy I work at the radio station and was the general manager of Temple Amblers radio station, WRFT. Our version of doing a remote broadcast was basically one guy in the hallway with a tin can with a string that led to another tin can, and there we go. There's technology.
Well, hopefully in 2015 the technology is a little bit better than that. Last one before we let you run, Marc. Your alma mater, Temple, is on the bubble right now for the NCAA tournament. Big game against Memphis. Will you be watching the game, and do you have the Owls moving on to the semifinals in the AAC tourney?
I absolutely do. It was a thrilling game against Memphis earlier in the year. Of course, they pulled it out in the last 5 seconds of that game. I see Temple winning today. I see them advancing. I think they will absolutely get into the NCAA tournament. You book it. I'm going to say they're going to get in as a 14 seed.
Mark, well, from your lips to God's ears, but I will say this. You were just as entertaining, and you were maybe even better than Peter King on this show today.
That's high praise right there.
So much, I'm flattered.
All right. Thanks so much, Mark. We'll see you soon, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right, go Owls. See you guys.
See you, Mark.
There's Marc Farzetta from Sports Radio 94.
That's next level
WIP.
stuff right there, man. Hilarious guy.
That's some excellent stuff. So we're coming to you live from the Hartford Hotel, from the Marriott Hotel.
TU Owls everywhere, man.
In Hartford, Connecticut. No, Chase and I did not spoon last night as we were sleeping. I said,
I was on the floor in an air mattress.
Get on that air mattress.
Next to the AC, freezing my butt off. Had to throw a sweatshirt on so that I could just get through the night while you were snoring, Zach.